The night was dark and quiet in the village of Kijiji. The sky was filled with countless stars, shining brightly like tiny eyes watching over the land. A gentle breeze whispered through the trees, making the leaves dance softly. Everything felt calm, but something special was about to happen. In a small hut at the edge of the village, Amara was about to give birth. Her heart pounded with fear and excitement. Her husband, Kubwa, held her hand tightly, trying to stay strong for her. Nearby, the village elders, led by Elder Mama, gathered under the flickering light of oil lamps. Their faces were serious, knowing that tonight was important. As midnight approached, the air grew tense. Amara pushed with all her might, each breath bringing her closer to meeting her child. Kubwa whispered comforting words, but his voice shook with worry. The elders watched closely, ready to welcome the new life. Finally, with a final push, a baby girl was born. Amara placed her daughter in her arms, and everyone saw it at once. Zuri's hair. It was thick, long, and as black as the night. Her hair flowed down her back, seeming to never end. It shimmered softly in the dim light, moving gently as if touched by an invisible hand. Amara looked at her daughter with tears of joy. "She's beautiful," she whispered, her voice filled with love. But not everyone felt the same way. The villagers began to murmur among themselves. They had never seen a child with such hair before. Some thought it was a blessing from the spirits, a sign that Zuri was special. Others feared it was a bad omen, a sign of trouble to come. Elder Mama stepped forward, her eyes scanning the crowd. "We must watch over her carefully," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was an edge of worry. The days after Zuri's birth were filled with both joy and worry in Kijiji. Her hair kept growing faster than anyone could imagine. Each morning, Amara tried to trim it, but by nightfall, it was even longer. The hair was thick and shiny, catching the sunlight and sparkling with a strange light. It moved gently, like it had a life of its own. Days turned into weeks, and Zuri's hair kept growing. No matter how much Amara tried to trim it, by morning it was even longer. The hair was thick and shiny, catching the sunlight and glowing with a mysterious light. It moved as if it had a life of its own. The children of Kijiji were both fascinated and scared of Zuri. They watched her as she played by the river, her hair flowing like a dark river of silk. Sometimes it touched the ground or got tangled in the trees. "She's different," whispered Tandy, a brave young boy, to his friends as they watched Zuri laugh alone by the water. The adults were more worried. Mr. Musa, the village carpenter, shook his head and spoke softly. "It's unnatural. The spirits must be angry." His words made others uneasy, and soon rumors began to spread through the village like wildfire. Rumors spread quickly. Some believed that Zuri was touched by a restless spirit, while others thought her hair was a sign of bad things to come. The peaceful village began to feel tense and divided, fear creeping into every corner. Amara and Kubwa tried to protect their daughter from the growing hostility. "Zuri is our blessing," Amara would say, holding her daughter close. "Please, let her be." But the villagers were not easily convinced. Strange things started happening in Kijiji. The river that once flowed strong began to dry up. The crops in the fields wilted under the harsh sun, and the animals grew sick without any reason. Fear took hold of the villagers, and they started to blame Zuri for their troubles. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with dark colors, the villagers gathered in the central square. Elder Mama stood before them, her face serious under the flickering oil lamps. "Our crops are failing, the river is drying, and our animals are dying," she declared. "These are signs from the spirits that something is wrong." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd, but some voices were unsure. "Maybe Zuri is the cause," Mr. Musa suggested, his eyes filled with concern. "Her hair disrupts the balance of our land." Amara felt a wave of sadness and desperation. She stepped forward, holding Zuri close. "Zuri is not the cause. She is our child, our daughter. We love her," she pleaded, her voice trembling. But fear was strong in the hearts of the villagers. Elder Mama nodded slowly. "The signs are clear," she insisted. "We must act to save our village." Kubwa, Amara's husband, clenched his fists, his face showing his frustration. "You can't punish an innocent child based on fear and superstition," he argued. The debate grew heated, with voices rising and tempers flaring. Some villagers sided with Mr. Musa, believing that Zuri's presence was a bad omen. Others, however, still supported Amara and Kubwa, refusing to believe that their daughter could bring harm. As the night grew darker, the tension in the village became unbearable. The once peaceful community was now divided, torn between love and fear. The decision had to be made, and it was clear that Zuri was at the center of it all. Finally, after hours of intense discussion, the elders reached a unanimous decision. With heavy hearts, they declared that Zuri must be sent away to the evil forest. It was a heartbreaking choice, but fear had overshadowed love and reason. Amara and Kubwa were forced by the villagers to lead Zuri to the edge of the evil forest. Tears streamed down their faces as they held their beloved daughter tightly. "Be brave, Zuri," Amara whispered, her voice breaking. "We will always love you." Kubwa nodded, trying to hide his own pain. "Find your way, my child. We hope for your safety." As they turned to leave, Zuri reached out her hand. "Wait," she cried, but her parents were already disappearing into the shadows. Alone and scared, Zuri stood before the towering trees of the evil forest. The wind rustled through the leaves, whispering words she couldn't understand. Taking a deep breath, she gathered her courage and stepped forward into the unknown. After Zuri was sent to the evil forest, the village of Kijiji hoped that their troubles would end. But instead, things got worse. The river that once flowed strong and clear began to dry up. The fields that were green and full of crops started to turn brown and wither under the scorching sun. The animals, once lively and healthy, grew weak and sick. The villagers watched in despair as their way of life began to crumble. The once vibrant village was now filled with worry and sadness. Every day brought new challenges, and hope seemed to fade with each passing moment. Amara and Kubwa missed their daughter deeply. They stayed close to home, doing everything they could to support the village, but not like before. But their hearts ached, knowing that Zuri was alone in the evil forest. They often wondered if sending her away was the right choice. Alone and frightened, Zuri stood before the towering trees of the evil forest. The wind rustled through the leaves, whispering words she couldn't understand. The darkness around her was thick, and the path ahead seemed endless. Taking a deep breath, she gathered her courage and stepped forward into the unknown. The forest was unlike anything Zuri had ever seen. The trees were tall and twisted, their branches reaching out like long, skeletal fingers. Strange sounds echoed around her. Distant howls, the crunch of leaves underfoot, and the occasional snap of a twig breaking. As she walked deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, and the shadows deeper. Zuri's hair shimmered softly in the dim light, guiding her path through the darkness. She felt a mix of fear and determination, knowing that her journey had only just begun. Suddenly, she heard a soft voice calling her name. "Zuri." She turned around, but no one was there. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Her heart raced as she followed the sound, weaving through the dense underbrush. After what felt like hours, Zuri came to a small clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center stood an ancient tree, its trunk wide and strong, with roots that twisted and turned like serpents. The voice grew louder, and Zuri felt a strange pull towards the tree. As she approached, the ground beneath her feet began to glow with a faint light. The air was thick with magic, and Zuri felt a surge of energy flowing through her. She reached out her hand, and her hair responded, glowing brightly and extending towards the tree. The moment her hair touched the tree, a burst of light enveloped her, and she was lifted off the ground. The world around her seemed to blur, and she felt herself being pulled into a different realm. When the light faded, Zuri found herself in a beautiful, enchanted place. The sky was a deep shade of purple, filled with sparkling stars and swirling clouds. Flowers of every color bloomed around her, and creatures she had never seen before wandered peacefully. Standing before her was a majestic figure, a guardian of the forest named Anansi. He was tall and regal, with skin that shimmered like polished ebony and eyes that glowed like embers. His presence was both comforting and awe-inspiring. "Welcome, Zuri," Anansi said, his voice deep and soothing. "I have been waiting for you." Zuri felt a mix of fear and curiosity. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I am Anansi, the guardian of this forest," he replied. "You have a special gift, Zuri. Your endless hair is a source of great power and balance." "But why am I here?" Zuri wondered aloud. "Why did my village send me away?" Anansi looked at her kindly. Your village fears what they do not understand, but you are destined for greatness. Your hair holds the essence of life and growth. It connects you to the very heart of nature. Zuri felt a sense of purpose stirring within her. What must I do? She asked. Anansi smiled gently. Come with me, and I will teach you how to harness your gift. Together, we can restore balance to your village and the world beyond. With that, Anansi led Zuri deeper into the enchanted realm, promising her that her journey was only beginning and that she had a vital role to play in restoring harmony to both her village and the natural world. As Anansi led Zuri deeper into the enchanted realm, the beauty around them was breathtaking. The trees sparkled with dew, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. Strange and wonderful creatures peeked out from behind the foliage, watching Zuri with curious eyes. How can I help my village? Zuri asked, her voice filled with determination. They are suffering, and I want to make things right. Anansi stopped by a crystal-clear pond that reflected the vibrant colors of the sky. Your village is suffering because the balance of nature has been disrupted, he explained. Your hair has the power to restore that balance, but you must learn to control it. Zuri looked down at her hair, which flowed gracefully behind her, glowing softly in the light. But how? She asked. I don't know how to use my hair's power. Anansi knelt beside her, his eyes filled with wisdom. It will take time and practice. You must learn to connect with the energy of the forest and understand the true nature of your gift. He reached out his hand, and a gentle breeze began to swirl around them. Zuri felt the energy flowing through her, her hair responding to her thoughts and emotions. She focused on calming herself, letting her hair move in harmony with the wind. Feel the connection, Anansi encouraged. Let your hair guide you. As Zuri concentrated, she felt a surge of power flowing through her. Her hair began to shimmer brighter, extending towards the pond. The water responded, rippling and glowing with a soft light. She realized that her hair could influence the elements around her. This is amazing, Zuri whispered, a smile spreading across her face. Anansi nodded. You have much to learn, but you are on the right path. Together, we will unlock the full potential of your gift. Over the next few days, Anansi taught Zuri how to harness her hair's power. They practiced controlling the wind, encouraging plants to grow, and even communicating with the animals of the forest. Zuri's confidence grew with each lesson, and she began to understand the true extent of her abilities. One afternoon, Anansi took Zuri to a secluded grove where the trees formed a natural circle. This is the heart of the forest, he explained. It is the source of all life and balance here. But something is wrong. Dark energy is seeping into our realm, threatening to disrupt everything. Zuri felt a chill run down her spine. What can I do to stop it? Anansi placed a hand on her shoulder. You must use your gift to cleanse the dark energy and restore harmony. But be cautious. There are forces at play that seek to use your power for their own gain. Zuri nodded, understanding the gravity of her mission. I will do whatever it takes to save my village and the forest. As they prepared to face the dark forces, Zuri felt a mix of fear and determination. She knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to embrace her destiny and use her endless hair to bring balance and peace to both her village and the enchanted forest. Under Anansi's guidance, Zuri delved deeper into her abilities. Each day brought new challenges and lessons, helping her understand the true power of her endless hair. She learned to focus her thoughts, directing her hair to perform various tasks with precision and care. One morning, Anansi brought Zuri to a grove filled with wilting plants. These plants are dying because the dark energy is spreading, he explained. Use your hair to help them recover. Zuri closed her eyes and concentrated. She imagined her hair wrapping around the plants, gently encouraging them to grow. As she did, her hair began to glow brighter, and a soft green light enveloped the grove. Slowly, the plants began to perk up, their leaves regaining their vibrant color. You're doing it, Anansi said with pride. Your hair has the power to heal and rejuvenate. Encouraged by her success, Zuri continued to practice. She learned to control the weather, bringing gentle rains to parched fields and calming fierce winds that threatened the village. Her hair became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in the darkness that had taken hold of Kijiji. But with each passing day, the dark energy grew stronger. Strange creatures began to emerge from the shadows, creatures twisted by the corruption that seeped into the forest. They were relentless, seeking to drain the life force from everything they touched. One evening, as Zuri and Anansi walked through the heart of the forest, they encountered a group of these dark creatures. Their eyes glowed with malice, and their movements were swift and sinister. "Zuri," Anansi warned, "stay close and be prepared. These creatures are drawn to the dark energy and will try to stop us." Zuri felt a surge of fear, but steeled herself against it. She focused her thoughts, channeling her hair's energy to create a protective barrier around them. The creatures lunged, but her hair acted as a shield, repelling their attacks. The battle was intense, but Zuri's determination never wavered. She used her hair to push the creatures back, creating waves of energy that sent them fleeing into the darkness. Exhausted but victorious, she looked to Anansi, who nodded in approval. "You are strong, Zuri," he said, "but this is only the beginning. The dark energy is powerful, and we must find its source to truly defeat it." Zuri knew that their mission was far from over. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, knowing that her actions could save her village and the forest from impending doom. With Anansi by her side, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the days turned into weeks, Zuri's skills continued to grow. She became adept at using her hair to manipulate the elements, heal the land, and protect those around her. Her bond with the forest deepened, and she began to feel a sense of belonging in this magical realm. One night, under a sky filled with shimmering stars, Anansi took Zuri to a hidden temple deep within the forest. The temple was ancient, adorned with intricate carvings and symbols that glowed with a faint light. "This is the Temple of Balance," Anansi explained. "It holds the key to restoring harmony between our world and yours. Inside, you will find the source of the dark energy. We must destroy it to save both Kijiji and the forest." Zuri felt a mix of fear and determination. "How do we find it?" she asked. Anansi handed her a pendant made from a rare stone that shimmered with energy. "This will guide us," he said. "Trust in your abilities and in the bond you share with your hair." With the pendant in hand, Zuri felt a surge of confidence. She was ready to face the source of the dark energy and bring peace back to her village and the enchanted forest. Armed with newfound knowledge and a pendant to guide her, Zuri knew it was time to return to her village. Anansi had taught her everything she needed to restore balance, and she was determined to help Kijiji overcome its hardships. As dawn broke, Zuri and Anansi made their way to the edge of the evil forest. The sky was clear, and the air felt lighter, filled with hope. Zuri felt a deep connection to both the forest and her village, knowing that her actions could bridge the gap between them. "Are you ready?" Anansi asked, his eyes meeting hers. Zuri took a deep breath, feeling the energy of her hair flowing through her. "Yes, I'm ready to help our village." With that, they began the journey back to Kijiji. The path was familiar yet different, as if the forest itself was guiding them. Zuri's hair shimmered in the sunlight, lighting their way and warding off any lingering dark energy. As they approached the village, the sight that greeted them was both heartbreaking and inspiring. The river, though still not flowing as strong as before, had begun to show signs of life. The fields were slowly turning green, and the animals appeared more lively. It was clear that some positive changes had already taken place, but there was still much work to be done. The villagers watched in awe and fear as Zuri and Anansi approached. Whispers filled the air, and eyes followed their every move. Elder Mama stepped forward, her expression a mix of hope and skepticism. "Zuri," she called out, her voice wavering. "What brings you back?" Zuri stepped forward, her hair flowing gracefully behind her. "I have come to help our village," she declared, her voice strong and confident. "I understand now that my hair is a gift, not a curse." The villagers exchanged uncertain glances, unsure of what to believe. Mr. Musa stepped forward, his eyes searching Zuri's for answers. "Can we trust her?" he asked, his voice filled with doubt. Amara stepped beside Zuri, her presence a comforting reminder of their family's love. "She is our daughter," she said softly. "Please, let us hear her out." Zuri nodded, understanding the villagers' hesitation. "I know you are scared," she began, her eyes meeting those of her neighbors. "But I am here to help. My hair has the power to restore balance and bring prosperity back to our land." The villagers watched as Zuri demonstrated her abilities. She reached out her hair, and the pendant Anansi had given her glowed brightly. With a gentle motion, she directed her hair towards the dry riverbed. Water began to flow, filling the river once more. The sight of the flowing river brought gasps of amazement and hope from the crowd. But not everyone was convinced. Elder Mama remained cautious. "We must ensure that this balance is maintained," she said. "How can we be sure this won't bring more trouble?" Zuri understood the elder's concerns. "We need to work together," she suggested. "I can teach you how to use the gifts of nature to keep our village thriving." Mr. Musa stepped forward again, his skepticism softening. "If what you say is true, then you could save us all," he admitted. "But we must be careful." Zuri nodded. "I will guide you. Together, we can restore harmony and ensure that Kijiji prospers once more." As the villagers began to see the positive changes Zuri brought, their fear slowly turned to trust. They witnessed her ability to bring water to the river, encourage crops to grow, and heal their sick animals. Each demonstration reinforced the idea that Zuri's hair was indeed a blessing. Over time, the villagers started to accept Zuri, embracing her as a vital member of the community. They worked alongside her, learning how to care for the land and use their own unique gifts to maintain balance. The once divided village of Kijiji began to heal, united by a common purpose and newfound hope. Zuri's return marked the beginning of a new chapter for Kijiji. The village thrived, and the bond between humans and nature grew stronger than ever. Zuri's endless hair became a symbol of resilience and prosperity, inspiring everyone to believe in the power of unity and understanding. With Zuri back in Kijiji, the village began to see remarkable changes. Her endless hair was not just a symbol of hope, but an active force in restoring the land. Each morning, Zuri would walk through the fields, her hair flowing behind her, touching the crops and encouraging them to grow strong and healthy. The river, once dwindling, now flowed steadily, providing water for the villagers and the animals. The once wilting plants stood tall and vibrant, their leaves gleaming under the sun. The animals, too, regained their vitality, moving freely and happily around the village. But restoring balance was not an easy task. There were still challenges to face, and the dark energy that had once plagued Kijiji was not entirely gone. Strange occurrences continued to happen, and the villagers had to remain vigilant to maintain the harmony they had worked so hard to achieve. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and pink, Zuri gathered the villagers in the central square. The air was filled with the sounds of nature and the soft glow of oil lamps. Everyone looked to her with hope and anticipation. "We have made great progress," Zuri began, her voice steady and confident. "But we must continue to work together to keep our village thriving. Nature is delicate, and we must respect and nurture it every day." The villagers nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a renewed sense of purpose. Amara and Kubwa stood beside Zuri, proud of their daughter's leadership and the positive changes she had brought to their lives. As they spoke, Elder Mama approached, her expression thoughtful. "Zuri," she said, "your presence has truly changed our village. But we must remain cautious. The dark energy may return if we let our guard down." Zuri nodded, understanding the gravity of Elder Mama's words. "We will stay vigilant and continue to protect our land," she promised. "Together, we can overcome any challenges that come our way." Just then, a gust of wind swept through the square, and the pendant Anansi had given Zuri began to glow brightly. Zuri felt a surge of energy flow through her, and she knew that their work was far from over. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and an ominous shadow loomed over the village. The villagers looked up in fear as a dark cloud descended, threatening to undo all the progress they had made. Anansi appeared beside Zuri, his expression serious. "The dark energy is returning," he warned. "We must act quickly to protect the balance." Zuri's heart raced as she realized the urgency of the situation. "What must we do?" she asked, her voice filled with determination. Anansi placed a hand on her shoulder. "You must use your gift to cleanse the dark energy and restore harmony. But remember, you are not alone. The strength of the village lies in its unity." With that, Zuri turned to the villagers. "We must all work together," she declared. "Each of us has a role to play in protecting our land and maintaining balance." The villagers sprang into action, using their unique gifts to support Zuri. Some worked to clear the fields, while others tended to the animals and reinforced the riverbanks. Together, they formed a united front against the dark energy that threatened their home. Zuri focused her thoughts, channeling her hair's energy to push back the dark cloud. Her hair glowed brightly, creating waves of light that spread across the village. The dark energy fought back, but the combined efforts of Zuri and the villagers proved too strong. As the night wore on, the battle against the dark energy intensified. Zuri's hair moved with purpose, weaving through the air and dispelling the shadows. The villagers worked tirelessly, their determination unwavering. Finally, as dawn broke, the dark cloud began to dissipate. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the remaining shadows, signaling the end of the struggle. The village of Kijiji stood strong, united in their victory against the dark forces. Exhausted but triumphant, the villagers gathered around Zuri, cheering and celebrating their hard-earned success. Elder Mama approached her, a proud smile on her face. "You have saved us, Zuri," she said. "Your gift is truly a blessing." Zuri smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "We did this together," she replied. "Our strength lies in our unity and our love for our land." As the village celebrated their victory, Zuri knew that their journey was far from over. There would always be challenges to face and balance to maintain. But with the support of her family and the entire community, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. The bond between Zuri and the villagers had never been stronger, and the once divided community now thrived in harmony. Kijiji had not only survived, but had become a beacon of hope and prosperity, thanks to the girl with the endless hair and the unity of its people.